It's currently 7:26 p.m. Here's where I am currently with my current polystyrene drawing project at my mom's place. I recall primarily working on it roughly from 3:15 p.m. to 5:15 p.m. sitting at my established work area between the living room and the kitchen at my mom's place. I finished the hair for both female faces for this project, and then I finished the skin on this face. All I have left to do at this point is do the details and coloring and blending for the mouth and eyes on both faces, which hopefully I'll be able to do tomorrow. Most recently, I did a 30-minute HIIT workout roughly from 5:45 p.m. to 6:15 p.m. by following along the YouTube video I always follow along to whenever I do a 30-minute HIIT workout. I use the glass I'm using currently to have a glass of low sodium V8 branded vegetable juice, to have a glass of tap water, both during the 30-minute HIIT workout and while I was cooling down from it afterwards. Both while I was in the living room at my mom's place. I recall having about a third of that glass of tap water during the 30-minute HIIT workout itself, and then I had the rest while I was cooling down. I cooled down for roughly 40 minutes or so, but I had what was left of that glass of tap water. Over about 10 minutes. The floor of the living room at my mom's place is a typical wooden floor. I didn't have any of the tap water. During the first set, as that's basically warm up. Though I did have at least a tiny sip during both 60-second breaks between sets. And during most of the 30-second breaks between exercises during the second and third sets. I recall first naturally waking up today around 12:15 in the morning, falling back asleep within a few minutes. And then naturally waking up for the last time today around 3 in the morning. I got up about 20 minutes later after spending that time contemplating whether I should get up or go back to sleep before ultimately deciding to get up. So that I could spend some of the time between then and about 7 in the morning first reviewing the August 17, my dinner video on my YouTube channel to make sure everything was alright with the audio and video by clicking through the transcript in order to simultaneously check the audio and video. Skipping ahead about 20 to 40 seconds each time after watching. Usually for anywhere from a few seconds to a handful of seconds, but every now and then for a bit longer. Before deleting that converted UCut video editor app project file, along with the raw video clips I used to create it. My shift at Wegmans today was from 8 in the morning to 12:30 p.m., during which I primarily restocked the banana section at the very back of the produce department. Twice throughout my shift. The second time being pretty much at the very end of my shift. Both right before and right after my first and only 15-minute break today, which I took around noon. I also primarily restocked the hard items section of the produce department, which is right in front of the banana section and predominantly consists of varieties of onions and potatoes. Though the middle display of the hard item section has a few varieties of squash at one end, for which at one point during my shift I restocked a box of spaghetti squash and a box of butternut squash from my designated cart today. For my cart, I always restock from the top level of it, as I use the bottom level generally either to hold what I pulled from the floor or the produce department itself, preferably in some kind of box from merchandise from the section of the employees only warehouse for those who work in the produce department. During my shift, I restocked the 2 flat open displays for regular seedless watermelons at the front entrance of the supermarket. Closest to the produce department. Once towards the beginning of my shift, and then again towards the end of my shift. And each time I transported the one large octagonal container, or bin as they're called, with some regular seedless watermelons inside from the section of the employees only warehouse for those who work in the produce department to that front entrance of the supermarket by pulling a hand jack. Transporting the bin on the forks of that hand jack. At one point during the last hour or so of my shift, an older male coworker who always wears a baseball cap forwards and a winter vest had me restock some varieties of bagged apples for one of the front sections of the produce department. I recall making 2 trips from the employees only warehouse to that front section. Within about 15 minutes or so, today my mom both drove me to the Wegmans I work at and picked me up from the Wegmans I work at. On the way back to my mom's place, we made a stop at her local Wegmans for a relatively brief grocery shopping trip, during which I wore a camo rain jacket and from which we got a couple of ribeye steaks, a 12-pack of aluminum can kiwi guava flavored Celsius energy drinks, another cardboard case of 12 Premier Protein branded vanilla protein shakes, a quart of 1% milk, and a handful of other things. I recall from that grocery shopping trip, we got 2 to 3 Wegmans reusable bags worth of groceries. Shortly after I got up for today, I got an aluminum can Blue Raz lemonade flavored Celsius energy drink and would occasionally sip at it over about an hour and a half or so. I did some of the editing for yesterday's My Dinner video project around that time, and I also worked on that during my 15-minute break during my shift at Wegmans today. By the time my mom picked me up from the Wegmans I work at, I had reviewed roughly half of the video project, and I finished editing yesterday's My Dinner video project upon getting back at my mom's place in my room upstairs roughly from about 1:30 p.m. to about 3 p.m. As of 8:42 p.m., that converted UCut video project file finished uploading to my YouTube channel roughly 5 hours and 15 minutes ago. Around 7:15 in the morning, I had with a Premier Protein branded vanilla protein shake, 2 sunny side up eggs, and some ground hamburger. Despite only getting roughly 4 hours of sleep last night, I feel perfectly fine currently, though I plan on hopefully being asleep by 10 p.m. Generally, throughout today, I felt perfectly fine and only felt a little bit tired during the first 30 minutes or so of my shift at Wegmans, and as I was finishing the editing of yesterday's My Dinner video project file in my room upstairs at my mom's place, sitting on my bed.